Okay, I read a book, King Lear, for Lit, and this is for our capstone project. And the book was a Shakespeare book, so obviously there's death and love and all that stuff. I'm just gonna read you some background info from the back. It says, the words were, "Which of you shall we say doth love us most?" And that's King Lear asking his daughters, "Which one do you love me most? Which one loves something like from like remember from like Snow White, it was like mirror on the wall." Yeah. Okay, so that's how it starts. It says, "With these reckless words, Lear, the aged king of ancient Britain, begins a game that will tear his kingdom, his family, and his own sense of self, pitting sister against sister, rewarding flattery and punishing integrity. Lear is unable to foresee the consequences that will follow from this choice. The loyal Duke of Gloucester is likewise blinded, figuratively and literally, by flattery and deception, and he also learns, too, the late price of misplaced trust." So basically, King Lear, he asks his daughters, "Which one do you love me most?" And I just take this whole story as for like Cinderella, because the two daughters were like, "We love you so much, we love you more than the earth itself," and all that stuff. And then his one daughter, Cordelia, said, I love you, but not in like an incestuous way." So he ended up banning her from the kingdom, and he was actually the daughter that loved her most. So we'll begin my presentation. As a quick thing, so once again, King Lear, and I just have some background info on it from the YouTube clip. Yeah, it was basically everything I summarized. There's death, a lot of stuff. And I'm just going to give you a quick little introduction of the characters. These are just some important characters that she's depicting.
Lots of characters in King Lear. Want to keep them all straight? Just think young, old, good, bad. Ready?
Okay, so now they're talking about the kids.
Lear and Gloucester are the old guys. They're not bad. In fact, a lot of bad is done to them. But they're a little naive, which allows their children to take advantage of them. And King Lear could learn a little lesson in humility. Goneril, Regan, and Cordelia are King Lear's daughters, and they couldn't be more different. While Goneril and Regan are the nastiest, cruelest, most unforgivable mean girls you could ever meet, Cordelia is basically a saint. While Goneril and Regan spend their time abusing their father and scheming to get rid of him, Cordelia forgives her father's bad judgment and sacrifices herself to rescue him. Speaking of kids, Gloucester has a bastard on his hands. Literally. That would be Edmund, the illegitimate son, who uses treachery to launch himself to political greatness. Unfortunately, his scheme against Edgar, Gloucester's legitimate son, doesn't totally pan out, and eventually Edgar kills Edmund to save his father's reputation and authority. You'll also want to remember the names Kent and Albany. Like Cordelia, they also work to rescue Lear, and they're the only two who live to tell about it.
Okay, so that was an introduction of the characters. Next in my presentation is the movie comparison. So I watched the movie, the King Lear movie, and it seemed to be just like the play. There was everything like a pictured happening in the play. It happened kind of in the movie, except there was minimum stage items. But what I noticed was that Cordelia looked too young, and her two sisters Gonriel and Regan, they looked really old, like as old as the father. Edmund, who was the bastard child, looked exactly like how I pictured him. He was young and handsome. King Lear looked old, and while he was banishing Cordelia, he looked like he was on the verge of a heart attack. So like in the story, how they said he was getting sick and ill and everything, that's kind of how he looked in the movie. And then the next section is blindness. I wrote a paper on one of the major themes of the story. And I said it was blindness. They weren't like, there wasn't a physical sense of, they weren't like blind, like they couldn't see, but it was more like a flaw that kept some of the characters from seeing the truth about their family members and friends. It affected three of the characters. It affected King Lear because he banished his daughter who actually loved him, so he was caught in the way of his two daughters who actually didn't really love him at all. And then it also affected Gloucester. His illegitimate son Edgar, his illegitimate son Edmund was trying to basically find any way to kill him so that he can get his inheritance. And Gloucester was blind from that because he was angry at the wrong son. He was angry at Edgar when he should really been angry at Edmund. And then also it affected Edgar because he didn't know that his brother was trying to take his father's inheritance by killing him. By the end of the story, their blindness went away from them and they could see clearly. And but Gloucester, he during the play they actually gouged out his eye, so he became physically blind as well. But when he became physically blind, that's when he could see more clearly that the son that was hurting him. And then next is the play. In the play, I know there's a lot of times of betrayal. Edmund betrayed basically his family just to get ahead in life, and Gonriel and Regan kind of betrayed their dad because they wanted his land. So I don't. Would you ever betray a family member?
No.
Daniel?
I wouldn't betray a family member.
But like, okay, so let's just throw a situation out there. If the law was looking for them and they did something bad, would you like tell like the government where they were so that they could go to jail for whatever they did?
That would be the best thing, because if you didn't, you would fall even deeper into it. You yourself might even get arrested because of the situation also.
Yeah.
If you're helping them keep it digital.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't betray them. Like, I'd only betray them if it was in the best interest for them.
Yeah.
Like, if they needed to go to, like, they did something and they knew it was bad, it was an accident, they're going to have to, like, do their time in jail. So I wouldn't call it betraying. I'll just say trying to help them so that they don't have to suffer for it later in life.
Exactly.
So that's what I got from that. And then our next part